Hey guys, welcome back to Money Chats with MT. My name is Shalise and we are on episode 3. Today, I want to thank all of you who subscribe to the channel and have been saying a lot of kind words about the podcast and about what you got out of it. You given me a lot of great feedback, and I'm glad that you've gotten something out of this. So, today is Tuesday, and we're going to talk about, a topic that, a term that I came up with a while ago. And I wanted to just expound on it because, this idea of the money monster and, how when I first started my journey, I created this image, or I had this image of money and finance in my mind, and how because I went in with a lack of understanding, a lot of the actions and things that I did afterwards was not the best. And whenever you hear the term monster, especially when I coined this phrase, the connotation was something scary, something fearful, something unknown, something mysterious. A monster, usually has some type of troubled background or something like that. Um, it was always just something negative associated with it. I mean, that's what a monster is, right? And so the whole money monster and the negative impact that it had on my life when I first started my journey, and before I started my journey, I wanted to just share a little bit of that with you guys because, again, on YouTube or just social media and things, I'm sharing our journey. I share how we became first generation millionaires. And like I said in episode 1, how, I don't get a chance to give you the in between, I don't get a chance to give you the behind the scenes and what went on during the journey in the way that I would like for it to be presented. And you guys know I start these podcasts to have conversations and to encourage dialogue. And, when I started money, how, again, in the movies, a monster gave you a very terrified, scary, unsettled feeling. Money did the same thing with me. I've mentioned before, in my younger years, every time I heard the word money, it was always some negative connotation with it. It was always a negative feeling, a negative situation, a negative circumstance. It was always just bad, 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 bad. And what happened was that monster grew into me wasting a lot of the money that I made, spending it in areas where it really didn't satisfy or bring me joy. And I realized all these years later, again, that I was spending money because I was overcompensating for other issues. Again, the monster, right? And the one thing about feelings, especially when it comes to money and finance, is that you got to really keep a tight line with it because money is a very emotional thing, right? It makes us happy, it makes us sad, it makes us fearful and have anxiety, or it can make us feel joyful, right? And so, keeping the how I felt in check was something that I neglected, and I'll tell you guys, I am really on top of making sure that money does not control me or my emotions, right? If things are going great, I can feel happy in that moment, but my worth, my who I am is not dependent on money. Okay. So again, the money monster, right? Which I had to really what I'm trying to say, like I had to really get it under my foot, if that makes sense. Another thing about it, this money monster that really amplified through the years of me before I started on this journey was I hated budgeting. I mean, again, this is again going back to the negative feeling thing. I hated budgeting. Why? Because I felt it was restrictive. I felt that like it prevented me from doing what I really wanted to do. Budgeting told me the truth, and I didn't really want to hear the truth. I was really, really happy in my ignorance. They say ignorance is bliss. I was happy not knowing, how bad things were. It's really crazy when I think about it. But again, the money monster, right? These are the effects of that, and you know going into budgeting with this idea of I can't, I won't, it'll never be. And again, it's about thinking, it's about perspective. And that's why I'm big on like positive energy, positive thoughts. Um, keeping my mind full of good things and being surrounded by good people and decent people, because you don't realize how much that negativity impacts not just your money and your finances, but your relationship, just your overall mental state and physical state too. And one of the reasons why, like on social media especially, I surround myself with people who are encouraging me positively to do the right thing. One of the things I wish was around, um, that I've said before on my channel, was on Mommy Trader. I wish this budgeting community was around. If you're not a part of the budgeting community, because I know some of you are following me for investing, or, because we're millionaires or whatever the case is, you need to look the budgeting community up. I mean, now, let me just be straightforward with you guys. There's issues everywhere. I mean, nothing is drama free, but I can tell you, in the budgeting community, 99% of what you see is positivity, realness, supportiveness, accountability, like sometimes tough love, but kind, which I really, really love. Um, and, it promotes the positive side of budgeting. Okay. So again, this monster produces fear and anxiety. Well, I've learned through the years that there's so much good, there's so much positive when it comes to budgeting your money. Like, I can tell you, at this stage of our lives and this stage of my journey, when it comes to our finances and all of that, I cannot imagine not budgeting. Like everything, a bonus, a regular paycheck, raises, even the tax refund, everything gets budgeted. And what I've realized in terms of eliminating this money monster, or this way that I was thinking, having a budget is the best thing you can do for your money. It's not the worst thing. It's not restrictive. A budget is telling you, girl, we got you in case something go wrong. That's what your budget is telling you. Your budget is your support system. It's there to keep your life kind of on the straight and narrow when things happen. Because let me tell you, in this life, in this world, in this economy, something is going to happen. And again, it's not about like being a fear mongerer. Okay. Again, that's what the money monster is for. Budgeting and being on top of it helps you to be preventative. Preventative maintenance, if you take care of your car, if you get the oil changes, if you get, your tires rotated, if you clean it and take care of it, it's not to say you won't get a flat tire or something, but it minimizes the cost, right? Because you've been taking care of, let's say, changing your oil. If you go years without changing it, you can cause engine damage. Well, let me tell you, if you never replace an engine, my husband and I have, easily, that was $2,000, $2,500, 8, 9 years ago. So imagine how much it costs to replace an engine now, when you could have just periodically just kept up the maintenance by getting an oil change that was what, 30, 40, $50. That's what a budget does for you. And so I cannot imagine my life without a budget. And I have another podcast, or maybe a couple of podcasts, talking about budgeting coming up. So make sure you stay tuned. But all of the investing that my husband and I do, we love to go on vacations, buying rental properties. If you want to buy your first home, you need a budget, because your budget keeps you in the loop. It doesn't keep you in the dark. It lets you know, like, all right, girl, like, this is how much you can afford. You can still go and buy a house. Just don't buy too much of a house, right? Because you still want to pay your bills. You still want to be able to go on vacation. You still want to be able to practice self-care. See, that type of thinking when it came to our budgeting helped me to kill this money monster, right? Because again, money has a negative, evil, terrible aspect to it, but it also can be a blessing. It can be something that can provide peace and help and aid to other people as well as yourself. It could provide you with opportunities you would never have even have had without it. So again, like I said a few minutes ago, that positivity aspect of it, having those positive thoughts and approaching it in a responsible and positive way is a huge, huge help. It also, going into the next point, helped me to get out of the paycheck to paycheck lifestyle. In my previous episode, I talked about Americans and how they feel more poorer than ever in 2023. Even when the opportunity to make more money or to have side hustles or whatever the case is the greatest it's ever been in our lifetime. And why? And it's because we're overspending on things to keep up with the Joneses. We're trying to satisfy some unresolved childhood or past issue. We're feeling guilt, so we give our kids more than what they actually need or even want. We're racking up a lot of debt. And again, it's the paycheck to paycheck or under the paycheck to paycheck cycle, right? And again, this is where the money monster really, really roars its ugly head, especially in the debt aspect of this. The money monster, when, on the beginning part of my journey and before I started this journey, wreaked havoc on my financial life, and it seeped into my relationships. It seeped into my professional career life, my general family and friends, because again, money is something that we all use, we all need, we all rely on it, we all talk about it, we need, and so it really wreaked havoc on our life. And talk about the paycheck to paycheck, all of them, the money monster took all of the money that I was making because it was going to debt. So what I had to understand and come to the realization is that, I was feeding this monster. You probably have heard of that term before, right? Like, don't feed the monster. I was feeding it. And a lot of times we say, you know what, we don't want to have to suffer with this anymore. We don't want to have to deal with this anymore. We don't want to have to, keep going around into the circles, but we're feeding it on the back end. We can't say, and this is something I had to learn. I couldn't say, like, okay, for example, I don't want to live paycheck to paycheck, but I'm constantly going out to eat. Again, going out to eat is not a bad thing. But if I'm not budgeting my money, how would I know how much I had available to go out to eat? And so I would put my head in the sand, pretending like I didn't see the impending destruction, the disaster that's coming. And as a result, the monster was just getting bigger and bigger and bigger through fees, through overdrafts, through robbing Peter to pay Paul. Again, the money monster. I had to stop feeding it. And I had to be honest with myself. I had to say, you know what? Stop going out to get coffee every morning. Make it at home. Stop sliding through someone's drive-through because you don't feel like cooking. Stop doing this. Stop wasting time watching reality shows when you could be, batch cooking so for the week. So you don't have to worry about coming home after work and trying to feed you and the kids and everybody, right? And so I had to kill the monster that way. I had to stop feeding it. I had to be really, really honest with myself and break that paycheck to paycheck cycle. Also had to stop the monster from giving me doubt about my money and my abilities when it comes to managing and growing or increasing or anything along those lines, even when it comes to investing. Oh, you better believe that monster was there saying, girl, listen, you 30 years old, you are a black woman, who do you know that buys stock? Who do you know? And I gave it some thought. I didn't know anybody who owned stock. I'm telling you the truth. I didn't know anybody who invested. I didn't know what a stock was. Nobody I knew even retired. Like legitly, like, okay, I'm stopping work. I'm going to have like a little retirement party and I'm just going to retire. Either you had to stop working because of medical issues or you died. That was pretty much the retirement part of what I knew coming up. And this whole idea of fear and it's not so much being risky, but taking calculated risks. Educating myself is a great way to kill this monster. Why? Because now I have knowledge. Now I have truth. Now I have facts. And when you have those things, that's light. And what it does, it kills the darkness. So I educated myself. I made the time. See, the money monster would say, well, you couldn't do this. You don't have the time. You're busy. You got a family, you're a wife, you're a mother, you're doing this, you're doing that. But again, I made the time. When I was doing laundry, I'm just standing there folding clothes. Takes no brain power. So I'm watching an interview by Warren Buffett or YouTube. They have a lot of beginner investing stuff. That's why I'm big on beginner investing on my channel, because I figure maybe someone else is trying to find the time. So while they're folding their laundry, they could be watching one of my videos. While they are cooking dinner, they could be listening to this podcast that I'm making right now. So finding the time was really, really important to educate myself. And as a result, I was getting rid of those negative thoughts and killing that monster, okay, the money monster. And then one final thing that I think the money monster probably had a big impact on when it comes to my journey was, the spending addictions. And, monsters grow, or they are formulated from a negative situation that happened. In my life, I didn't have a lot growing up. And it made me feel really resentful, to be honest. And as I became of age and now where I'm at in my life, I don't hold that against my parents or my family or anything, because they just didn't know. So why get upset with somebody because they just don't know, right? And even when I was in my 20s, I didn't know. I didn't know. And so what I was doing was I would act out by spending money. And we don't realize that we actually do these things, like we'll act out spending money, but we do. If we're trying to retaliate against someone, we'll go buy something, a big expensive thing to show them, what, see, like, ha ha ha. Or, if it's somebody we're trying to keep up with online on social media, we'll go out and buy some extravagant thing. Not because we want it, but because we're trying to feed some underlying addiction of, maybe I just want to feel seen, right? And there's nothing wrong to want to be seen or to want people to care about you or to love you. But again, it's going about it the wrong way. And the money monster feed off of this, which is why it's so important to have conversations and talk. Like, you know what? I've been there. I know what it's like to be upset with my husband. So I'm going to go out to Macy's and spend $500 buying clothes, knowing it's not in the budget, knowing I won't be able to pay rent, knowing all this stuff. But again, I'm trying to, you see what I mean? Do y'all see what I'm saying? And so one of the things that I've learned is open communication, especially with my husband and the people who are in my life. What it does is that it gives both of us a chance to really get things out there in a respectable format, and it gives us the control, and it takes the control away from the money monster. Money should never, ever be in the driving seat when it comes to our finances. We should be in the driver's seat, okay? We don't want to be a slave to money. We want money to be a slave to us. We got to put ourselves in that authoritative role. We have to give ourselves the power, because it's our money. Keep in mind, money is not a person. It's a thing. It's an object. It's a tool. So, if we get into our minds that we are more than conquerors, that we can achieve whatever our financial goals are, that we can, be honest with ourselves and and give our money an assignment, then guess what? Instead of having money monsters, we'll have money blessings. And that's what we really want. So I hope that you guys enjoyed episode 3 today, because I really wanted to have these conversations, right? That's why I created this podcast, to have these types of conversations. Leave me some comments down below. I know you guys may have some comments or thoughts. Have you ever struggled with this concept of the money monster and the different things that I talk about? Again, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Please don't forget to subscribe and like. If you want to support the podcast even more, consider buying me a coffee or tea. Information is down below. I do appreciate it, and I will shout you out to those who do, do that. Buy me a coffee or tea, because I really, really do appreciate all of your support, and I'm hoping that you guys are finding value and getting something out of this. So don't forget to follow me on all of my social medias. Information is always, always down below. And I will see you in the next episode. Okay? Have a good one. Bye-bye.